Welcome back to the Arbitrary YouTube channel. Today's class we are going to learn this beautiful high neck. As you can see, it has a high collar neck. It has this pointed high shoulder on the shoulder area as well, and then it has no joining on the side. You can see that the side has no seam. The only seam line you have there is at the back. So it's a very beautiful boo dress, as you have seen, and it's very simple to make. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this high shoulder boo, I'm working with this satin fabric. This fabric is 4 yards, and then the length of this fabric is 60 inches. Okay, so because it's 60 inches and this dress is going to be floor length, I'm going to join to the hem to make up my full length. But if you have a fabric of longer length, let's say 90 inches length, you're not going to need any joining. Your fabric will be enough to get to your floor length. So because this is big, I'm going to be demonstrating how it will be folded. So I'm going to assume this is my 4 yard and this is my 60 inches length. Okay, so the first folding I'm going to do is to fold into 2 by the yardage. So it means I have 2 yards here, 2 yards here. This is going to be a half circle flare. Okay, it's a flare boo dress, so I'm working with a half circle flare, and after folding into 2 like this, I'm going to fold again in a circular, in a cone form, just like we fold our half circle. So you can see how it is folded here. So this is what I was saying. Let's say I want to work with a length of 7 inches here. You can see that this 7 inches, the 2 that I have on that is going to take my 7 inches, but the folded one on top here is not going to be enough. So what I need to do now is just to cut a little fabric to make up the 7 inches here, so that I can join to it. So after folding it here, I don't want to have any joining on the side. I'm just going to create my sleeve opening on the side, so I'm not going to have any joining. The only place I'm going to be having joining is my center back. So these 2 open parts that we have here is going to be my center back, and this closed here is going to be my center front, and this long part here is going to be the sides. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so this is the center back, these 2, the closed part is the center front, and then here is going to be my side. And like I said, I'm not going to have any joining. Okay, so in order to know the length you are going to work with, my actual full length is 56 inches, but I'm still going to remove my shoulder from this 56 from this upper part here. So whatever it is that I need to remove to get my shoulder measurement, I'll have to add it to my length, so that I'm not going to have any shortage by the time I am done. So I'm just going to shift this cone a bit. Remember, this is folded into 4, so my actual shoulder measurement is 17 inches, but because I don't want this, it's like a shoulder pad dress, so I don't want it to be on my actual shoulder length. So I'm going to add about 1 inch or 2 inches, 1 inch or 2 inches to my 14 inches. So if I'm adding 2 inches, that's 16. So if I have 16 inches, like I said, 16 inches is just for the total back. Now that it's folded into 2, I'm going to fold that into 2 as well, and 16 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 8 inches. So now from this upper part here, I'm going to get somewhere that I can get my 18 inches, 8 inches, okay, tentatively. So once I have that, you can see me marking it. I'm going to measure it. So now I have it at about 9 inches here. Okay, that's about 9 inches there. But you can add more to it, so that by the time you remove it and then you recheck your measurement, it's better for it to be longer. So now let's just assume that I have about 10 inches here. So now I'm going to remove 10 inches for my shoulder. Okay, I'm going to remove 10 inches from my shoulder, so I'm going to add that 10 inches to the 56 inches that I have here, and that's going to leave me with about 66 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to measure 66 inches from this upper part here. I'm going to measure 66 inches all to the hem. Okay, so what we are doing now is from this upper part here. Sorry, I have marked it, so let me just hold it to the other side. So what we are doing now is to measure from this upper part. We are going to measure 66 inches all around. Okay, so I'm just going to assume it to be 7. So here from the starting point, I'm measuring 66 inches, and then I'm going to connect all of them like this. So here that I have a shortage, you can see the shortage that I have here. I'm going to cut this part that is short and then join to it. Okay, so I had to do this on the floor because it's quite big, like I mentioned. So from here you measure your 66 inches. As you can see, I have the length of 66 inches there, and then I marked it all the way to the other side. So I have this small shortage here. You can see now that the front is short by a little bit, so I'm just going to cut that part that I have. So it's from the center here all the way to this point, as you can see. So I'm just going to cut there and then add to it so that I can have my full length. So now I'm going to cut off the length now, and then we'll continue. Okay, so you can see that I have cut it out, and this shortage that I have, I just want to show us how to add to it to complete it. So now remember, the shortage that I have there is this part here is the center front part, which is on fold. Okay, you can see that it is on fold, and this part can actually be your side front as well, but because I don't want to have any joining on my side, that's why I decided to use that completely closed part. So this is my center front now, and this is my center back, which is opened. So now what I'm going to do now is to bring in the XX fabric that I have here, and you can see that this part is on fold, so I'm going to put the fabric on fold as well. So you can see I just folded it into two. So this folded part here now is what I'm going to match up with the folded points that I have here. So you make sure that you leave like half an inch on the upper part, because remember we're going to join it together. So after leaving the half an inch, now you can pin it down for them to be together. So I'm going to pin it. Okay, so you can see that it is pinned together now. So this is the same way I'm going to sew it. So now to cut it, all I just need to do now is to turn this to the other side. So you can see after turning it to the other side, you clearly see the place where you have cut before. That's your hem. So now I'm going to bring in my scissors and then cut it so that I can have my full length. And then you cut to the end. So once you cut it now and then you turn it, you will see that everything now is the same. Okay, so you can see now that we have made up for the excess that we need there. So now I'm just going to remove the thing and go ahead to sew them together. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join it together. You can see I joined it with the half an inch that I have here. So you open this seam and then you press it down very well so that it can have like a smooth transition, because you don't want it to be too obvious that you have a joining going on there, because it's going to be at the front. Okay, so it's at the front because we don't want to have joining. We don't have to have any seam at our side. Assuming this happened to be the center front area, the joining would have been on the side. So that's by the way. The next thing I'm going to do now is to shape my neckline. So to shape the neckline, while on fold, you can just measure the 8 inches like this, but because I don't want it to give me like a V-shaped effect, so I'm going to remove my pin now and then open it out so that in such a way that the front bodies is going to be lying on the back bodies. So I have removed the pins now, and then I went ahead to join it on the center back so that the center back is going to be closed as well. This is all to make this easy for me. So when you're folding your cone, okay, you can see how it's folded. You make sure that you leave like half an inch at the center back to join it so that you're not going to have any shortage by the time you are done. So now that I've removed it, I'm just going to open it out. Okay, I'm opening it out in a way that my center front is lying on my center back, and because I have joined the center back, it's just going to make it easy for me. So you can see how I have the cone. So this is the center back here, you can see it's joined, and this is my center front here. Okay, so I'm turning it to the back so that we can see it well. So you can see the joining, the seam that we have on our center back. So this is the center back, and then right opposite it is the center front. So now to take my shoulder measurement, I'm going to bring in my tape measure. And now that it is opened, remember when we were measuring earlier, we were measuring 8 inches because it was folded into 4. Now that it is opened like this, I'm going to measure 16 inches. So here I'm just going to look for a place where I have my 16 inches on both sides. You can see how I'm placing my tape. I hope you can see that. So once I have it, I'm going to mark it, and then after marking it from the apex point here, I'm going to measure where that space fall. Okay, so from the apex point now I have about 10.5 inches thereabouts here. So the 10.5 inches, I'm going to measure it here. So remember we added 10 inches extra to our measurement. So here I'm going to measure the 10 inches as well, and then I'm going to check it to see if I have 16. So I don't have up to 16, so I'm just going to go down a bit by maybe around 1 inch. Just make sure you have up to your shoulder measurement. So once you have up to your shoulder measurement, okay, so I have 16 inches here, I'm going to bring in my ruler, and then I'll make a straight line on that point. Okay, so now this becomes my shoulder as well as my starting point, and then I opened it out like this so that I can have it on a straight line. So what I'm going to do now is to cut out this shoulder, but because my fabric is very slippery, I'm going to try to hold it with my pin as well. Okay, so now it is opened. The next thing I'm going to do now is to lift it up and then notch the center front. Remember, the center back is already sewn, so it's obvious. So now I'm taking it together and then I'm notching my center front. So now this is my center front. The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and shape my neckline. So I'm folding it together like this. Okay, so you can see that they are folded on each other now. This is the front and this is the back. Okay, you can see the allowance for joining the back together. So here I'm going to measure my neck width of 3 inches, and then the neck depth of 3 inches for the front as well. And then for the back, the neck width remains 3 inches, but this time the neck depth is 1 inch because it's a high collar neck. It's like a turtle neckline. So now using my curved ruler, I'm going to connect my neckline. So this is the back and then this is the front. Okay, so this is the front neckline and this is the back neckline. So here now, from here to here is my shoulder, where I'm going to fix my shoulder part. So I'm just going to measure what I have there so that it can assist me in cutting my shoulder pad. So I have 5 inches here, so I'm going to leave like half an inch or 1 inch, and then I'm going to cut a shoulder pad of around 4 to 4.5 inches. And then here for my sleeve opening, remember your hand is going to come out here. So depending on where you want your hand to come out, if you want it to come out on your elbow area, so from where your shoulder stops, remember this is the shoulder, so from where the shoulder stop here, you are going to measure around 10 to 12 inches. That's where your elbow is. But for me, I want it to come to a little bit above my wrist area, so which is around here. Instead of measuring 12 inches, I'm just going to take it down a bit to around 18 inches. So from here now where the shoulder stops, and then remember this is the side part. So on the side I'm going to measure around 18 inches, which stops here. Okay, so my 18 inches stops here. So now from there I'm going to cut out my actual opening. So you can just measure around what you have here, or remember you can place your hand like this and measure. Remember this palm has to go through. So now I have about 9 inches here. So here I'm going to measure 9 inches divided by 2 is 4.5 inches. So I'm going to measure 4 inches so that by the time I turn it, I'll have my 4.5 inches, because I don't want it too wide. So here this opening here is 4 inches, and then I'm going to get the midpoint of this 4 inches, which is 2. So on that midpoint I'm going to come out by half an inch as well, and that is going to guide me in making my circle. Okay, so now that I have this circle here, okay, so here now I'm going to cut out the sleeve opening. So here you can use your bias to turn it out, or you use or you can weave it. Just make sure you make it neat. And then here I'm going to cut out my back neckline first. before cutting out the front neckline. Okay, so now my neckline is cut out, so I'm going to open it out again so that we can understand what we are doing. Okay, so this is the center front, as you can see. So this is the front neckline, this is the back neckline, and this is our shoulder. So here I'm just going to place it now, right side facing right side, and then I'm going to sew the shoulder area close so that we're going to have just our neck lines here. And then at the center back, remember it's a torso neckline, I'm going to open it out to around 4 inches so that the head can pass through, and then I can place my buttons there. Okay, so I have gone ahead to sew it on the shoulder area, as you can see, and then I opened it a bit on the back so that the head can pass. Remember, it's not a tightly fitted dress, so you don't need a zipper. You just need to pass your head through it, and then you use your buttons to hold it there. So now the next thing is to create the shoulder pad on this shoulder area. So for the shoulder pad, I'm working with this 1/2 inch foam that I have. So I'm just going to mark this center point. Remember, I marked the shoulder, and then I said I want my shoulder pad to be around 4.5 to 4 inches. So from the center point here, I'm just going to mark the 4.5 inches all round, as you can see, and then I'm going to cut it out. So this is going to be useful for the two shoulders, or else you want to add to it. So if you want it really high, you can just glue two together so that I can give you something high. But the foam I'm working with is actually high, it's 1/2 inch, so I'm okay with the height that I have here. So now that I have measured my 4.5 inches all around, I'm going to connect it, and then I'll cut out the circle. So now this full circle, now I'm going to divide it to give me 2 shoulder pad. Okay, so now that I have cut it out, I'm just going to fold it into 2 and then divide it. Okay, so that I'll have each for my, so this is 1 shoulder pad for 1 shoulder, and then this is going to be for the other shoulder. So now you can use it like this, but I prefer to wrap mine with my fabric. So I'm just going to wrap it with my leftover fabric. I have done this already on the channel, so you can check it out. So I have gone ahead to wrap it, and you can see how clean it is looking. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to weave the edges so that it can be completely finished neatly. So this is what the shoulder part looks like now. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my collar and fix my bishop collar. So to cut your collar, all you need to do now is to measure around your neckline, and you use that measurement to cut out your collar. So you place your tape round the neckline from the back all the way to the front. You measure what you have round your neckline, and you use that to cut out your bishop collar and fix to your neckline. So I have the tutorial on the channel already as well, so I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I have gone ahead to fix my collar. So you can just go ahead and give it a good press so that it can lie flat. So if you want some drapes around your neckline area, you can increase the neck width measurement that you used, so that you can just pleat around the neckline. So pleating around the neckline area, you can just gather a little bit. It's going to give you more drapes on that neck point. But I'm okay with what I have here, so I'm not going to be adding any drapes to mine. So this is what it looks like right now. So now the next thing to do now is to bring in my shoulder pad and then fix it. So to fix your shoulder pad, you are going to tuck it in like this, and then you first divide it to be sure of your midpoint. Then after making your midpoint, you match your midpoint with the shoulder mark that you have there, and then I'm going to tack it. You can either tack it, or you go ahead and sew it on this line that you already have. You sew it very close so that it's not going to be too obvious. So you do the same thing. So placing your shoulder pad, now you can see that it has given it some form of height. You can wear this without the shoulder pad as well, but giving it shoulder pad is just going to give it that height that you're looking for. You can even double your shoulder pad if you want it really high. So now you can see I have tucked my shoulder pad inwards like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and fix it to the 2 sides. So after fixing it to the 2 sides, now I'll take it to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what our beautiful bubu flare dress looks like. You can see the shoulder part that we placed there, and like I said, if you want more height, you can add even another layer to it, but this layer is very beautiful. And then you can see that we still have some drapes despite the fact that we did not add excess to our neckline. So if you want more, you can add excess to your neckline or even your shoulder so that you can add some place to it, and then you even form more drapes there. You can see our high neck bishop. I have the tutorial on how you can make a bishop collar already on the channel, so you can check that out. And then this is the sleeve opening that we created. So I have hemmed the sleeve opening. I can see that it just comes out a little above the wrist. I used 18 inches. So if you want it exactly on your wrist, you just need to measure up to your wrist points, and then you measure that from your shoulder points. And then if you want it on the elbow area, you know exactly what to do. So this is what the full view of the dress looks like, and you can see how beautiful this is looking. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.